rather disappointing news for Notre Dame football. They have been placed on a 1-year probation for recruiting violations. So this is pretty complicated. And this is kind of some pretty sketchy stuff here. I'm not gonna lie to you, Nate. So we're gonna start off with the former cornerbacks coach. I want to clarify that corner, not quarterback, cornerback coach, Todd Lyght, and linebacker Sav'ell Smalls from Garland High School. They were doing recruiting that was illegal and it was against NCAA violations. Small was the number 15 prospect in the 2020 ESPN 300, and he was involved in similar infraction cases involving Florida's Dan Mullen and Texas A&M's Jimbo Fisher. And so basically, the whole part of this recruiting violation is you're not supposed to recruit players outside of the actual place of recruitment. So the place of recruitment is on the campus. Obviously, you can't bribe them, you can't recruit them outside of it, and that involves recruitment violations. So it started off with him, and then Notre Dame's head coach Brian Kelly got involved when involved in some impermissible off-campus contact when a prospect from October of 2019 asked for his picture outside of the campus, and he gave him the picture, but I guess there were rumors that there were recruiting violations outside of there too. So he got involved in it. And I mean, so many coaches have gotten involved in Notre Dame with all these recruiting violations. Notre Dame will be fined also $5,000. And basically what a 1-year probation is it's not really like, they're banned from football for a year. That's not what it is. What it basically is the school is not allowed to have coaches recruiting off campus or high school prospects for official visits through April 15th because of COVID-19 pandemic. That's basically what they're not supposed to do. But basically what will happen is the negotiation resolution, which did not name the coach or recruit, the assistant coach has impermissible contact with a player at a high school in Seattle on January 15th of 2019. That's basically what went on. The assistant met with the prospect privately and discussed Notre Dame's interest in recruiting him, the value of university education, and defensive schemes. So basically what's going to happen is, it says it somewhere in this article. I'm trying to find it real quick. Basically, they're not allowed to do a lot of recruitment. They're going to go from, I think, 56 recruiting meetings to like 55. And basically, the people who were involved in the recruitment method are not allowed to be in this recruiting method for this year. That's basically their punishment right there. And they're going to be fined $5,000 to the school. So, Nate, you start first. What do you think about Notre Dame violating recruiting?
Man, that's incredibly sketchy.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a big violation of the protocol. You're not supposed to be, you're supposed to recruit correctly. Like you said, you're supposed to recruit players in the what's it called? The area that you're supposed to recruit in, right? That's what you said.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
so
not allowed to recruit them outside. So like if you're a college athlete and I'm a head coach, I'm not allowed to recruit you outside of that college.
right.
It's supposed
Right.
to be
So
a college meeting. Some of them I believe they meet at like the person's house. They used to do that. I'm not sure if they still do it, but that's basically the recruiting. You're not allowed to recruit outside of the college.
right. And man, this is obviously it's sketchy for Notre Dame, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's starting to become a trend for teams to violate
I agree.
NCAA protocols. I mean, we reported multiple NCAA teams from across multiple sports violating protocols and all of this stuff. And I'm gonna be real with you, Mario. Notre Dame doing it, the fact that they're recruiting all of this, what I find funny, they're illegally recruiting, right? They still can't get over the hump. That's what I find. I don't know about you, but that's kind of funny.
I
But
agree.
anyway, what I'm worried about, this is looking bad on the NCAA, because like I said, we've reported a few other teams in the NCAA from across I think it was basketball, some couple football
Right.
teams. They're violating protocols too. This is looking bad on the NCAA. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not saying it's their fault, but it's looking bad on them because even though the people that work for NCAA, most of them aren't doing it, there are some that are working for the teams that are involved with the NCAA and doing all this stuff. This is looking really bad on them. And I really think they need to look into this stuff a lot more often. Because, I mean, yeah, there are some teams that aren't violating. I get that. But, I mean, when there's multiple teams from across multiple NCAA sports doing this, you got just something's got to give, man. Something's got to give.
No, I completely agree with you. And usually when we hear about this type of stuff, the recruitment process is usually like somebody's being paid or somebody's being like bribed to kind of join. Like for instance, like the James Wiseman case with Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway offered him like a house and he offered him money to join. You can't be doing that stuff. And then there was like the rumors with Zion and Duke. So like this, like cases like this is very rare where it's like only like they met in the wrong place. Now, am I justifying it? No, you have to recruit. You have to do the recruiting method through a place where it's appropriate to recruit them and it's allowed. I'm surprised a lot of Notre Dame people were involved in it. You know, I believe the cornerbacks coach was terminated, or one of them was terminated, and I can't remember which one. But Brian Kelly's still there. But yeah, the one thing I kept thinking is this team's really recruiting, really violating recruiting protocols, yet they still lose. I don't understand it. So like, and that's the sad part about it too. That's the sad part about it. And I mean, and look, Notre Dame's such a prestigious college. A lot of players would want to join there just to play football. You know what I'm saying? Because usually that's a team that's like makes the top four like every other year. So I understand it, but again, at the end of the day, this is just stuff like this can't be going on. It can't be happening. I'm
Absolutely right.
sorry, but like it just can't. And the problem with what you said about like you got to keep track of this. That's the problem. It's so hard to keep track of it.
Yeah,
It is.
it's that. That's what
It's
I
not like
mean.
a
Yeah,
drug test where you can just give somebody a weekly. It's not like that.
you got to worry about every other team that plays in every other
Right.
sport, which is the issue.
You can't control who this coach and this player. You can't control when they meet up. You know what I'm saying? They could easily just be walking and meet up with each other. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, the recruiting method starts. It used to be you go over to their house. I'm not sure if it's like this anymore, but they used to go over to their house and talk like business. I don't know if that's what it is no more. I think now they gotta visit the college and like go through a recruiting method. But again, like I mean, this is just unnecessary. You know, it's unnecessary. The biggest reason why it's so unnecessary is because you're Notre Dame. People, there are players who are just lining up to join your team anyway. You know what I'm saying? You're
Right.
literally a top four team every other year. You're like a top 10 team every year. So there's a lot of teams there's a lot of players that just want to join your team in general. You don't got to do this illegal recruitment. Now I understand if you see like a huge like prospect, I understand why they do it. I'm not saying I agree with it by no means, but I understand why they do it because they want that prospect. But the thing is, you got to go by it the right way. It's as simple as
Absolutely.
that. And I mean, the NCAA is having a lot of problems between like, how much like how like college players can make money or how the recruitment process works or like exactly what is illegal. They're having a lot of problems with that. And it is something they gotta straighten out and figure out. But as for tracking them, it's just really hard because you just can't control when they're gonna run into each other. So I mean, with that being said, I hope Notre Dame's learned their lesson. There was a quote from the athletics president of Notre Dame, and he absolutely said the same thing. He said it's unjust and everything like that, and like they'll take the punishment humbly, and obviously pay the fine, and they got to take the punishment. So like, but it's just disappointing to see.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But we don't want to wish bad on them. So,
Right.
with that said, I hope this all gets sorted out and just good luck to Notre Dame in the future. We can only hope that they've learned their lesson in the future.